Hi, this is Søren, CPO and co-founder at Terramate. Today I want to talk about the release of the Terramate MCP Server, which helps you to bring context from Terramate CLI, Terramate Cloud into any IDE, such as Cursor, Cloud Code, or any other AI tool, such as ChatGPT, Cloud for Desktop, you name it. So why would you actually do this? When you develop infrastructure as code with Terramate, Terramate comes with this logical unit of isolation called stacks, right? And stacks bundle a bunch of infrastructure code, configuration, in state into isolated units. So now a stack might be drifted, a stack might have a fair deployment, etc. And previously we were able to use those information and action on those stacks, for example, orchestrate them with Terramate CLI or observe them and understand what's going on, how integrates our infrastructure code with Terramate Cloud. So turns out that we can also do this with natural language. And that's why we've built the Terramate MCP server here, which is now released in version 0.0.2. So it's early, but we're adding new tools and workflows to the MCP server as we speak. Let me open up Terramate Cloud here. So you can see in Terramate Cloud, I basically have this drifted stack called JetBrains IDE repository, so JetBrains Terramate. So this is a stack inside of Terramate Cloud that I use to manage one of our public Terramate repositories for. If you want to learn how to install the MCP server, it's all explained here in the repository. But basically, the way that we recommend you to run this is via Docker. So if we look at our cursor settings, you can see I have the MCP server installed here in my cursor. You can see the different tools that it's exposing to the environment, as well as the configuration. So it's basically just running a Docker container and injecting our JWT token that we can get with Terramate Cloud login. So this is how we log in from Terramate CLI to Terramate Cloud to the environment. So you run the MCP server locally, which then communicates with the Terramate Cloud API and Terramate CLI. So let's use this to basically ask a bunch of questions with natural language in this repository. So let's do you have access to the Terramate MCP server? If so, what tools are exposed? What tools do you have access to? So you can see now, this basically uses the Terramate MCP server now to understand, like, hey, those are the tools here available to our environment. You can see basically, oh, what can we do with this? Authentication, stack management, so we can understand what stacks are in this repositories, what deployments have been run here, drift detection, what reviews are often, so pull requests, merge requests, and then some use case, for example, analyze and remediate infrastructure drift, which is basically what we want to do in this video. All right, let's ask it another question. So how many stacks are available in this repository? Are any of those drifted? All right. So this basically, again, authenticating with the API, making sure that our token is still up to date, and now it's basically listing the stacks here. Let's wait a little moment and see if there's anything drifted or failed. So here we can see, okay, so we have 98 stacks, 2 of them are drifted, 1 of them is failed. And we can see the drifted stack is basically, one of them is the JetBrains Terramate, pretty much the same repository, or the same repository that I showed you here in Terramate Cloud. Can you show me the drift Terraform plan for the JetBrains stack? Let's see if it understands how to do it. So the information about the drift are stored in our Terramate Cloud organization, right? And now the MCP server should be able to query those and add them to the environment. All right, it finds the drift, it gets the information, and we can see exactly what's happening here. So it's showing us the Terraform plan. It's also explaining us. So here I have just edited some of the changes of this, some of the settings of this repositories outside of Terraform, right? And now it also gives us a recommendation on how to reconcile this. So remediate this. So let's do this. Update the Terraform code to match the current GitHub state. So now this should understand how our repository is configured locally or in this repository with Terraform, and update the configuration so that it remediates the drift without the user ever having to handle the configuration itself and understanding how the Terraform code works or the provider or whatnot. So it understands where those are set, and respectfully, you have to understand that in this specific case, we're not using pure Terraform, but we're actually using Terramate code generation to generate some of this Terraform. All right, and now it finds the part in the configuration. It finds the configuration and understands how to basically update it. So it's basically just setting the correct global here. Now it's running Terramate generate, and it's automatically updating those Terraform files for us generated by Terramate. And next we could open up a pull request and have the normal lifecycle deploy those changes so that the drift is remediated in Terramate Cloud. So you get the idea how the MCP server is basically helping us to abstract away those complex operations in Terramate CLI, Terramate Cloud with natural language. And it's making Terramate and infrastructure as code a whole lot more accessible for everybody. Thank you so much.